and what to do to avoid being sued. And I had somebody here on the broadcast who talked about that they just got summons, and I get this question a lot, and I just recently got it by someone by email. I usually get these questions at least once a week. And so what I want to talk about, first let me introduce myself just in case you don't know who I am. My name is Brown-Phillips, and I wrote a best-selling book, Jumpstart Your Credit, How to Settle, Negotiate Your Debts in 10 Steps, showing people how to rebuild their credit. But one of the most important things that makes my book different than other people's books that are in the personal credit repair space is that I help people fight back debt collectors. And most books out there do not teach consumers how to fight back debt collectors. So going into the topic of what I'm talking about today, what to do to avoid being sued. The first thing, before I can even go into that, is that I need to go into where you're at before you even get sued, because this is normally what happens with people, and they don't know this. They decide to go on this journey to rebuild their credit, and so they're doing it without understanding the laws. They don't know the difference between the FDCPA. They don't understand what the FCRA is. And the reason why you may be saying, well, why do I need to know those acronyms? Well, the reason why you need to know those acronyms is because one of those acronyms, which is the FCRA, is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. That has to do, it's a federal law created by the government. It's under the FTC, Federal Trade Commission. And basically, that goes into how items are reported on your credit report. Thank you so much in the hearts on Periscope. Facebook is, like I said, Facebook is not really where I go a lot. My place is on YouTube, and like I said, I'm trying Periscope out. So that's one thing. Now, the FDCPA, that stands for Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, that has to do with how debt collectors are supposed to correspond with the general public. Thank you so much for the hearts on Facebook. So that is one thing that you need to know. So most of the time, what happens is that when people start their journey, they don't even understand those two laws. So when you don't have no guidance, like I said, and I always say this to people, there are some people who can rebuild their credit themselves, and that is good. But understand where you are as opposed to someone else. The person who can do it themselves and don't get any hiccups is someone who's really going to truly try to understand the law. They understand that this is going to be a process, and during this process, they know they're going to have to learn this, they're going to have to learn that. The person who gets tripped up and say, hey, I'm going to do it myself, and oh man, oh smack, I get sued I'm about to get sued by an attorney, they don't understand the rules of the engagement. Like I said, they don't understand the FDCPA, they don't understand the FCRA. But going into that, even beyond that, let's just say it's just a lay person who has bad credit, and I'm glad, in Periscope you said so true, that has bad credit, and you know what, things happen, and now they're about to get sued. Well, now I'm going to go into some things that what you were supposed to do to prevent this from happening. So when you decide to dispute things on your credit report, there's two things you need to do. There's the disputing that you have to do to the actual credit report. And that's where the FCRA comes in. So you see derogatory information on your credit report, you have the right as a consumer to dispute that information. Hands down, that's what the law says. That is your right. You have the right to do that. But the flip side of that is that now you have to dispute the information that you are now disputing on your credit report. You now have to dispute it with the debt collector. That's part of the FDCPA. How you avoid getting sued is that you're doing both pieces. And when you decide to do both pieces, You now have created a paper trail for yourself that now in the event that you do get sued, you now have the paperwork to say, I've tried to dispute this and I did not get response. Because most of the time, this is what I tell people, under the FDCPA, like I said, you know, I can't make this a 2-hour class or a week class. It's so much to cover. But I'm going to give you the abbreviated version to give you an idea of where some people are falling short. There is a process called debt validation, validating the debt. There is a law and statute under the FDCPA that gives you the right as a consumer to dispute things and ask the debt collector to validate what this is that you're saying that that you owe, whether you are he or whether you are she. Hey, what is check systems? I have false information on your check report. Okay, I'll get to that, Justin Mathis, but let me just finish this topic because that's a whole different topic, and I'm glad you gave me that question on Facebook. So since you have this right to dispute the information, what does all that mean? Okay, all right, Loretta, you're saying I have this right. See, you got to understand the process of how your debts have evolved. Now, what do I mean about how they have evolved? You originally had a credit card or any type of debt. And so that was established by an original creditor. That could have been with American Express, Visa, MasterCard, store card, gas card, you name it, auto loan or what have you. At a certain point, financial hardship came down on you and you were unable to pay that debt. What most consumers don't know is that original creditor who established that debt with you, that extended that credit to you, that now became a debt to you, is not in the business of hounding you to collect on that debt. Normally, they give it to about 120 to 180 days to try to collect on that debt. After that point, they now put their hands up and say, you know what, we're going to be unable to pay that debt. And so we are going to sell that debt off. So for the creditor, now you may be wondering, well, why do I need to know this? You need to understand this if you want to understand the process of how to avoid getting sued. See, most people just think it's just a one-trick pony of what they have to do to avoid getting sued, and that's not it. You have to understand the process of what's happening. So what happens is that now the debt collector, the original creditor gets to write that debt off. And so they write it off as bad debt, but they also receive income because they're going to sell that debt to what is called a junk debt buyer or a debt collector. And what happens is that these individuals buy this debt in bulk. They're buying thousands and millions of dollars of accounts, and they're buying it for a fraction. Thank you so much. And make sure you share it, Focus Music Group. Share it with someone that you know who needs this information. And I know Facebook is real quiet. Like I said, I'm not normally on Facebook as much, but I am going to start coming on Facebook Live more. But going into, like I said, about the debt, you need to understand this is because you need to know how debts evolve and how it gets to the point that you are getting sued. So now that debt has gotten sold and has gotten purchased, you are now, as the consumer, thank you so much for the hearts on Facebook, are now being given letters, calls from a company you've never heard of. And you're like, well, I don't know what XYZ company is. I don't know what ABC company is, but they're saying I owe this debt. And I don't have the money to pay them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ignore them because I ain't got the money. I don't know who they are. and I'm just gonna let it do what it do. But unfortunately, that's not how it works, ladies and gentlemen. You can't just ignore it and let it do what it's going to do, because you have rights as a consumer to fight these things. And so what you should do, and this is what you need to do to avoid being sued, is that you need to say, you send out a debt validation letter. I have a sample of what that letter looks like on 2 websites of mine, jumpstartyourcreditbook.com, and you can go to yourmoneymentor.com. Under resources, you should be able to find that letter. It's a standard letter. You fill in your information, you send it out to them, and you wait and hear something from them. This is when your paper trail starts. So, you know, so like I said, I'm giving you a very quick, abbreviated version of what should be done. See, most of the time, hey, thanks for joining me, Love Dog, on Periscope. Most of the time, what happens is, like I said, we just ignore what is going on. And then once we get sued, I usually get an email or something. All right, this is what happened. What should I do? And it's not that easy. It's not, no, well, what should I do? It's what did you do during the course of you first getting the first letter, the first phone call. And then for those individuals, because then I have those individuals who, okay, well, you know what? Focus Music Group, I'm glad that you're saying you're finally ready to clear the mess up. Contact me personally. You can reach me at LORILLIABP@gmail.com, and we will talk more about that. But going back to what I said, most of the time, in Focus Music Group, make sure you share it with your network. Most of the time, we ignore the warning signs, and that's what I was saying. And then for those who are disputing things on their credit report, and to see, the thing is that they're like, well, I'm being proactive. I am, trying to rebuild my credit. But see, the thing is that you don't even understand the both sides of the coins. All you're doing is disputing stuff with the credit report, but you're not doing the part with what you need to send to the debt collector. That's why I tell all students who are in my class, I just did a class not too long ago, it was a 4-week class, and I tell them, whenever you are disputing something on your credit report with a debt collector, you need to be doing 2 things. You need to be sending a letter to the credit reporting agency, and you need to be sending a letter to the debt collector. If you do not do that, you're not going to have a paper trail, and you're going to get caught out there. Because in the event that they do try to sue you, you're not going to have nothing to back yourself up. Because, like I said, I've been doing this long time. Let me see. I got a question on Facebook. I need to know how to approach my student loan debt. They're currently in forbearance, accruing more debt. Okay. I'm gonna stop, because I kind of went as far as I could with the avoid being sued. Because, like I said, that's a very lengthy topic, but I want to give you an awareness of what to do. So I do have Justin, who's watching on Facebook, and I'm going to address 2 of the questions that he had. The one thing that he first talked about is what is check systems, and I have information on my check report. Check systems, now with your personal credit, you have 3 credit bureaus that report things on your personal credit: Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. When it comes to banking, anything that you do in the banking sector, that has to do with any bank accounts that have gotten charged off because, you had a negative balance or whatever. That is all reported on check systems. So what you need to do, Justin, is that, okay, that is what check systems is. That has to do with anything that has to do with the banking sector. So anything that you may have did with a bank account, a credit union account that you've had, and I don't know if, maybe you wrote history of some bad checks, you had a negative balance, some things may have been reported on that report. With that said, you said you have false information. Okay, now the thing is that you have a 2-sided question, because you're saying, well, what is check systems, and I have false information on my report. So it seems like you know what check systems is, but if you don't, I just gave you an explanation to it. It's similar to the credit bureaus, but it has to do with banking. Now, if you have false information on your report, just like with the personal credit, you have the opportunity to dispute that on check systems. So you do the same thing. You see items on your, on the report, and you go ahead and dispute them. And if you're saying that information is not yours, you could have been a victim of identity theft, and you can dispute that. Or you may be noticing some things on there that were not yours. So I would suggest you dispute it. If you go to the website, Check Systems, just Google it, because I don't know the exact website, but Google Check Systems, and you'll find the website. And it's a general website where you're going to go, and it'll let you know if it's the official website of Check Systems. And you're going to put all in your personal information, and then there they will send you a report, a Check Systems report. Once you get that report, so you can visually see it for yourself, you have the ability, hey, thanks for joining me, O'Neill. Share it with your network, everybody that's joining me on Facebook. You have the ability to share it. You have the ability to look at your Check Systems report. 1 second. Wait, they sent me a letter. Let's see. Okay. All right. 1 second, Focus Music Group. I want to finish this on Facebook. And so once you get that Check System report, you could go ahead and look at the items on there and see if you need to dispute anything, and you could do everything online. Your second question is, I need to know how to approach my student loan debt. They are currently in forbearance and accruing more debt. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to be honest with you. Be glad they're not defaulted, because a forbearance allows you to forbear paying on the debt for a period of time, but unfortunately, that is what's going to happen. The interest is going to capitalize, but you do have options. Now, while they're in forbearance, if you don't want that interest to accumulate, if they are federal loans, only talking federal, because private dance to the beat of a different drum. They don't have all the protection and the covering as government loans. So I'm only talking government federal loans here. You can pay while they're in forbearance. You have the ability to pay that interest. So Justin, if you feel like, hey, it's too much interest, I don't want to pay it, you can. They give you that option. You don't have to pay the payment that's due, but you can make a payment for the interest. Yep, so there you go. So you said they're federal. So if they're federal loans, you don't want that interest to accumulate, then go ahead and just pay the interest. You can do that. You have that ability. The federal loans allow you, because yes, you are going to get capitalized. My thing is you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, hey, government, I want to forbear or defer this loan, but I don't want to pay anything. That's the flip side of it. Interest is going to continue to capitalize, but you can't pay it. So that's it. So if you don't want as much interest to be accumulated, pay the interest. I'm going to go over here on Periscope now. Now, Periscope, you had a question about something about being served. If you can give me that question again, then I'll answer it. The law firm that is suing me is willing to work out reasonable payments amounts. Should I? That's a loaded question, and that's why I said email me at Lorilia, LORILLIABP @gmail.com. That's a loaded question. I don't want to say go and you'll have nothing. You see what I'm saying? Like it's too many variables that needs to be, that I need to ask you before I say no, do this. Oh no, do that. All right, LORILLIABP @gmail.com. Because there's too many questions you're asking that I can't really say, well, do this or do that, if I don't know what you did previously. Because that's what I always tell people when that question comes up. Well, what did you do beforehand? Because I need to know that. Thank you so much, and I'm glad that I answered that question for you, Justin Mathis. And on Facebook, please share it as well. And I'm going to try to do these daily. Like I said, YouTube is usually my place. That's where I go. So I want to just let my YouTube community know that I'm going to be putting this video up there as well, and that they can come over to Facebook or Periscope And so if you have more questions, you go right to Amazon, or when you contact me through email, I actually have some copies here at home, and I can actually get one out in the mail for you. So it's quicker for me to do that. So if you contact me today, I have copies here at home. I can get one out in the mail for you. Thank you, Focus Music Group, and thanks for sharing it on Periscope. I saw, and thanks for joining me over here at Facebook as well. I'm glad that I was able to answer the question for Justin. I have O'Neill on here. O'Neill has been giving me a lot of feedback on where he's gotten and where he's going. He's gotten things deleted, all from information that I've been sharing on YouTube or what have you. So I'm glad that he's joining me, because he's someone who is proactively doing stuff. And so, you know, my next video that I may do, topic may always change, but I'm going to go into the secrets, and, you know, and kind of dispel some of the secrets in the credit repair industry. So like I said, once again, I am signing off, and see you all later.
See you. See you.
Oh wait, I have another. What course did O'Neill have to? You know what? I'll be honest with you. He did purchase the software. There's a credit dispute software that I do sell. He's used that. And then he's watched a lot of my videos, but he has made an investment in himself, and he's bought the software. So when you contact me, Focus Music Group, through Gmail, I'll share that with you. But yes, he did make the investment in the software, and he's just been proactive with getting stuff done, which is what most people won't do. They won't even do the work. So you know, make sure you contact me, Focus Music Group, LORILLIA BP@gmail.com. I had to think about my email for a second. Thank you. All right.
My name is mine.
Now, how do I end this? Okay.
So subscribe to our channel, Jaden's Place.
Subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna do it.
Thank you.
And to spell my name is A-N-I-Y-A.
Jaden's